Why is the north of Nigeria poorer than the south of Nigeria? So, poverty, as we all know, is a global issue, is a global phenomenon. Most countries, especially developing countries, are suffering from the problem of poverty, which has a whole lot. But then, as it is a global phenomenon, it is also a national phenomenon here in Nigeria. That is poverty across the regions of the country. But then, poverty in the north of Nigeria is more pronounced than the south of Nigeria. According to a recent statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), there are 133 million people living in poverty in Nigeria, and the north alone accounts for 86.2 million, which is equivalent to about 65% of the total number of poor people, while the south accounts for about 46.9%, which is equivalent to 35% of the total people living with poverty in Nigeria. So here in this video, I'm going to give you 5 reasons, I think that's in my own personal opinion, why the north of Nigeria is poorer than the south of Nigeria. And number one is the subsistence level of agriculture in the northern region. As we all know, the north of Nigeria accounts for about 70% of the total land mass in the country, which implies that there is more arable land in the region. So definitely agriculture is the dominant industry in the region, but then it is treated more as a traditional occupation rather than a business. So what the kind of agriculture that is being practiced is mainly at that subsistent level. That is less innovation, that is less use of modern technique and precision agriculture, and that is less yield. So if that is less yield, definitely there will be less revenue that is accrued to the region in that regard, and so that will affect the number of people that are being lifted out of poverty in the region. And number two reason I'll give for this, in my own opinion, is lack of value addition. That is the lack of storage facilities in the region. Sorry, not storage, I mean processing facilities. It is very, very important to note that value addition uh, has to do with the processing of raw materials into semi-finished or finished goods. So, like in the case of the north of Nigeria, agriculture, which is the dominant sector, is being plagued by the problem of lack of processing. So you see, whereby farmers produce goods and their farm produce, they are usually sold to the other parts of the country in their raw form without adding value. Now, the third reason for the high level of poverty in northern Nigeria is insecurity and political instability. We all know that Nigeria has unfortunately had its own fair share of insurgency, sectarian, and ethno religious crises here and there. And the north of Nigeria has been left to bear much of this burden. For instance, if you are conversant with the history of the north of this country, like from the 80s, there's been the Metasine insurgency and the various religious and ethnic crisis that has rocked different parts of the north, like Kaduna riots, the just ceaseless riots, the Boko Haram insurgency that has ravaged the northeast and is still not even defeated, and now most recently the menace of banditry that is ravaging the entire region. Almost no state is spared from crisis. Some call it farmers' headers crisis, some call it insurgency or whatever. But the north is under siege with different level of violence. This has been going on for over the years now, and definitely it has affected businesses. It has affected the level of foreign direct investments that comes into the region. So you see, most times when statistics have been declared, you see that the south of Nigeria has more foreign direct investments than the north, which implies less jobs for the region, less revenue, less taxes, and so on. So this has contributed to the high level of poverty in the region. Now, number four, now, an opinion, the cause of higher level of poverty in the north of this country is socio-cultural factors. For instance, the issue of early marriage and having an uncontrollable number of children is a cultural practice that has been going on for so long in the north. So it is common to see a man with so many wives and so many children. So this unfortunately has contributed to the high level of poverty in the region, because when you don't plan your family, definitely it means you're going to have less resources to cater for too many number of people that you can't even afford to. So that has left the northern region with high level of destitutes, both children, women, as a result of that. Then I think the last but not the least I would like to mention here is uh, uh, lower standard of education and inadequate skills acquisition and development. I think the south of Nigeria, if you want to compare, is more endowed in terms of education and skills development than the north of this country. But then there is a historical account to this. Western education, or what we know as the formal education, was introduced first in the south of the country before it was introduced in the north. But this is not an excuse to say why the north is lagging behind, actually, because the colonialists have left over 50 years ago now. So definitely, there's been a number of years for the north to catch up in that regard. But then, there's still much that needs to be done. But this is not to say that a lot of the governors in the region and even the federal government has not invested in terms of education in the region, because we have seen beautiful schools and high institutions spreading everywhere. But then, one may be tempted to ask, what is the quality of the teachers teaching in this school? So definitely, for the not to catch up and get out of the woods, the level of education, the kind of skills, especially tech skills and relevant education, needs to be given proper attention. I think these are my 5 reasons for why the north is poorer than the south of Nigeria. So please like, comment, and share. Thank you, and God bless you.